It was a quiet, still night in the small town of Willow Creek. The only sound that could be heard was the gentle rustling of leaves in the light breeze. But then, suddenly, a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. Detective Rachel James was on the case. She arrived at the scene to find a young woman, Lisa, lying on the ground with a look of terror frozen on her face. Lisa had been out jogging when she was attacked, and she was the only witness to the crime. As Detective James delved deeper into the case, she realized that there was more to the story than met the eye. Lisa's attackers had left no physical evidence behind, and the only clues were the strange symbols that had been carved into the trees near the crime scene. Despite her best efforts, Detective James was unable to uncover any solid leads. And then, just as she was about to give up hope, she received a mysterious phone call from a person claiming to have information about the case. The caller told Detective James that the symbols were the work of a notorious serial killer who had been active in the area for years. This killer was known for their use of symbols to mark their victims, and for their eerie silence. No one had ever seen or heard the killer, and they had never left any clues behind. Determined to catch the killer, Detective James went to meet the caller. But when she arrived at the designated spot, she found that the caller was none other than the silent killer. With no way out, Detective James prepared herself for a fight to the death. But as she faced her attacker, she realized that they were not what they seemed. They were not human, but an entity from another dimension that had been using the symbols to feed on the fear of its victims. And with that realization, Detective James screamed. But her scream was not heard, for the entity had already taken her voice, leaving her trapped in silence forever. The town of Willow Creek was never the same again, as the people whispered about the strange symbols and the detective who had vanished without a trace. But the only sound that could be heard was the quiet rustling of leaves, for the entity had claimed another victim, leaving behind only a trail of fear and silence.